the kitchen of intrigue, Curt Jackson and Chris Callell are cooking up a batch of mystery soup.
Each episode serves a new blend of tips, tactics, trends, and tales from the business and design sides of the escape room world.
So grab your spoon, because this episode starts in 3, 2, 1.
Mystery Soup.
Welcome back to Mystery Soup Podcast. I'm Curt, and as always, here with Chris. Why are you shaking your head, Chris?
Listen, every time it changes. Is it Mystery Soup? Is it Mystery Soup Podcast? Is it Mystery Soup Escape Pod?
It's whatever I say it is.
Escape Adventures with Chris. Like, what is it?
Escape Adventures with Chris. Are we changing? Are we changing it up now? So it sounds like you're doing well today, Chris.
Yeah.
Today in this episode, woohoo, we have some very special people that I'm excited to have. Nicole and Tom from Nocturne Adventures. Welcome, you two.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Your rooms were probably the most unexpected in our trip. We had no idea what to expect and were so pleasantly surprised. Just had such a great time playing your rooms and meeting you two. It was awesome. So I'm excited about this next hour. And I think let's just start off with you two telling us about yourselves.
All right. Yeah, cool. I just wanted to say that's awesome to hear that. Thank you for that. I mean, we know our place is very unassuming, and I'm glad that you came into there and all expectations were subverted. So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm glad to hear that. So thank you.
How did you two meet?
So actually, we met on a dating website back in 2013. Yeah, of all places.
Nice.
Met on the internet. It's creepy.
Online dating success story.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, technically, I met Curt online. So
That's true. And now we're the best of friends. But I've got some close friends that met online on dating site and have been together for 15, 20 years now.
And we met in 2013, so we're already over 10 years.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, we each had a friend push us onto a particular dating site, and within a couple weeks, we were having phone calls from
yeah.
10 p.m. to 4 a.m.
That's awesome.
I don't know if
Nice.
you've ever used a dating site. I lived in California, Southern California. We both did. And when I was scrolling through the matches and stuff, it was just like a sea of blonde hair, orange skin, like just your typical Southern California girl. And I'm just
Next.
next. And then Nicole's picture comes up and she's in her goth outfit with like her profile picture. She's posing with like a bunch of zombies from Not Scary Farm and stuff. And I'm like, this one looks interesting. Stood out. I was like, yeah, let me message her. She looks cool.
Nothing's changed. Her Facebook profile is still her in like costume and makeup and everything else.
Yeah.
Yep, Halloween 365 for
Oh, yeah.
sure.
Every
for
day is
sure.
Halloween around here.
That's awesome. And then any kids?
Just the one fur baby.
The fur
Yeah,
baby,
We
right?
got a dog and we have a niece and some nephews. So we're the cool aunt and uncle. It's like we can
Nice.
hang out with the kids, play with them, and then give them back.
That's right.
They're fluffier. So we've interviewed a few owners now that are married couples, no kids. And I'm wondering if, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the camping world and in the teaching world, a lot of professionals don't have kids.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
you deal with kids all the time.
You work with, right. But I don't know if it's an industry thing. It's interesting, the personality type. But everybody has a dog, right? Everybody's got, yeah.
You get in less trouble when you put your dog in a cage while you're gone for a while. So it's
Right. We just let him
allow
be
that.
part of the team. I mean, that's a good point, though. I feel like,
Yeah.
being in a professional business and trying to run a business as an owner, no matter what it is, whether it's escape room or something else, I feel like kids are a handful anyway. Like they're almost a full-time job in themselves. If we had kids, we probably wouldn't be doing the escape room just because of time and priorities and efforts and things.
Well, because you still work full time, right? Oh.
Yeah, I'd say part-time. I work during the week. I kind of set my own schedule, which is nice. The place I work at allows me to make my own schedule, which is really cool.
Yes.
But it's an extra job that I can just make some extra money on the side, and then we have our escape room that we run on the weekends. So it
Right.
works out well. And Nicole, luckily, she doesn't have to do anything else, which is cool. I'm actually happy for her.
That's awesome.
You know,
I'm always making repairs during the week and tweaks
Right.
to the games
Yeah.
and doing the social media side of things. So that's never ending.
Yeah, she handles all the admin stuff on the back end. When I'm at work during the week, she's here cleaning up the escape room or making repairs and things.
You guys go out and do escape rooms together?
Whenever we can. Yeah, we like to. We just don't get a lot of time to do it because we're always busy with this.
Yeah.
Mhm. And Nicole, what did you used to do? Well, I find this fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
I used to be a licensed funeral director and embalmer for 10 years. So that was in Southern California. And that, I think, just kind of solidified my macabre interest. But growing up, my twin sister, Natalie, and I, we always loved horror and Halloween. So we embraced that early on and started building our family haunted houses every year. And then as I grew older, I was like, I want to go into mortuary science. That sounds fun. So I really enjoyed that. I really did. Moving here to North Carolina, kind of closed the door on that, but took what I've learned in that industry, took what I love about Halloween and all the design and meeting Tom, get him helping with Halloween.
Yeah, that
and
was
Perfect.
one of the things on your dating profile. You were into haunt and Halloween, and I remember doing little haunts when I was a kid, but that just stood out to me as I was like, oh, I want to help with that. That seems neat. Yeah.
he took right into that.
Oh yeah, I jumped right in, like I was doing it with them the whole time. They were just like, wow, this guy gets it.
Did you work not Scary Farm?
I was a ride-op, so I worked there regularly as a ride-op, and then when Scary Farm rolled around, I was the Scary Farm ride-op. So
Gotcha.
that was fun. I got to see that side of things, and I knew a lot of the set designers and techs and things. So it was fun to see. But that on that level was a definitely different avenue than our home haunts,
For
which
sure,
every
for
year
sure.
we'd create it bigger. We'd change the themes every year. There was new costumes, sets, makeup, stories,
Wow.
sounds, even for just a little home haunt. New neighbors thought we were building a home addition because we build 1,100 square feet on the front lawn of the house every year. We'd start in August and we'd only open for 4 hours Halloween night.
Oh my goodness.
Get 800 to 1,000 people through in the 4 hours.
Really?
People would, they'd come into the track, drop off a busload of kids. And
we had to build a queue line on the driveway and everything with stanchions and like zigzag back and forth. There was a line all night. It was crazy.
We had fast pass things if you want to donate $5 to a group of 4 to get up the fact. People like, hey, we've got a Halloween party to go to. We don't have time to wait. And they donated and got to move up. So it was very, very cool. It was awesome.
It was the most professional looking home haunt you probably have ever seen. It was wild.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Expensive,
and I enjoyed
huh?
every minute of it.
Did you put
Not really.
some
A lot
money?
of it was
Huh?
not really.
No,
I mean,
we made so much of it ourselves. And we worked on it throughout the year. We were planning the layout and had the overhead drawing and who's going to be where and what character and getting their costumes prepared. So it was thrift store budget, but the scares were definitely our priority, making sure there were diversions and the layout was fun. One year we did a Panic Point theme park and somebody thought they were really going to be on a ride because we had a faux ride car set up and
That's
like,
cool.
no, that's just a little car bed.
I remember this one. I was
that we modified.
I was like a zombie tech repairman, character in that area, and we had a fake roller coaster track with we took a car bed and converted it into like a car, and we had it sitting on the track, but it was broken and busted, and there was like dead bodies and things all over. And this kid comes around and he gets in the car and sits down. And he's like, "Okay, I'm ready for the ride." I had to break character for a second to be like, "Hey, all right, kid, come on, get out." No, go through this way. Yeah, it was funny.
What city was this in?
In Fountain Valley.
Fountain Valley? Okay. I
Fountain
grew up in
Valley,
Norwalk.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Well, let's jump into our questions.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, and I've never been to Nocturne Adventures. So tell me a little bit about it. What's
Oh, that's
the
good.
origin behind it?
I'm gonna let Curt give his opinion on that. Give you like the first impression.
Chris, let me set the scene. Tina and I are driving in a residential area, and we had heard this was the house. But I don't know why that just didn't really
Click with
trigger.
you.
Yeah, it doesn't click. And so I'm like, this is all house. This is lots of land, each of the houses, but where are we going? And then we turn down the street and there's this driveway that slopes down. And I'm like, this can't be. Oh, wait. Yep. There's on the back of the car, there's a Nocturne Adventures sticker. And I was like, I think we're in the right spot. Go down. And I'm like, if we're gonna die, this is how it's gonna happen. We're going into
Ripper is
somebody's
just a facade.
basement. Yeah, we're going to somebody's basement. I don't know if we should be calling Tina's parents to let them know where we're at or what. And then we go in, and it is as professional as it can be. It's like any commercial escape room. I go in, and there's Nicole welcoming you in, and it was like, okay, let's do this.
Yeah, we built up a professional lobby in
Yeah.
the area when you walk in. So like the first impression is, okay, this is weird. And then you open the door and come in and you're like, oh wow, this is really neat. We get that comment all the time.
Not what you expected.
Yeah. So
Yep.
it's nice to have that validation to be like, okay, we're doing something right. We're breaking that wall. Like you're stepping into a different world. You're expecting one thing and then it's like, oh, this is not what I expected. This is cool.
You also live at the escape room? Is it actually your house?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
Yep. The whole upper level is our residence, and the lower level, the basement, is what we converted into the lobby
And the 2 game rooms.
and 2 game rooms.
Our garage is down there too. So yeah, the whole basement area was one just giant unfinished open area. So we had to build everything from scratch.
Yeah.
From the walls, we had to put in a bathroom, HVAC, all that stuff. So that was really expensive to get that started.
And was that the plan when you were house shopping? Like, we're gonna put a room in?
No, actually,
no. We were originally looking for a commercial space, but it was also mid 2020, and that's when they
COVID.
went and shut down all the entertainment because of COVID. So we kind of backed off on looking, not being able to, open a business in a place that would be paying rent or leasing. So with having the space downstairs, like, let's see what the city would let us do. And they were surprisingly really cool. They were giving us a lot of leniencies, probably because of COVID. A lot of business were going under or struggling. I think if we were to ask them the same thing now, they'd be like, no way.
Or they just have a lot more questions. But yeah, we got approval from the zoning director, the zoning committee director, and he was
there
just
were
like,
no
yeah.
issues. Yeah, their biggest concern is noise or nuisance complaints or anything, but everything is,
like, how do your neighbors feel? Do they like the idea?
Oh, they love it.
They love it. They've
That's
all
cool.
played. The whole neighborhood knows what we do.
Yeah.
They beta test for us.
That's
One of them, their
awesome.
kids were just in the last trailer for Nevermore. We're
Yeah.
like, hey, can we borrow your kid?
We're very, very fortunate to have cool neighbors. When we
Yeah.
moved in, it was, sometimes neighbors can be hit or miss. You don't know what they're going to be like, but especially the neighbors directly to our left and right, those two, the first 3 houses on our street, us, it's like our little group here. We're always looking out for each other.
Nice.
Yeah. So they love it. They know what we do. They have no complaints. And
And when people go running out of the lobby from Ripper, and our neighbors are in their back deck, they're just kind of laughing at them.
yeah.
Your sister live with you?
My sister lives locally in Hickory.
She lives
but
locally.
Does not live with us.
But it's
no.
just the 3 of you that work the escape room, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. Right.
Yeah, we're the main team. It's just the 3 of us. And in a way that's good. We have to do everything, which is fine because we like it that way. But we don't have to deal with staffing or employees or payroll or anything like that. If we ever expand, that's going to be a whole new headache, but we'll work on that when we get there.
For sure. So then with the haunt experience, that obviously plays into your room design. What is your room design process?
A lot of the processes start with the idea of the theme first.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard different stories from different owners, and there's no wrong answer, but we always start with the theme first and try to determine, well, what would the sets be? Like, what type of furniture, what type of decor and props would be in that? Is that a doable layout for an escape room? And then we work on the story We love live actors. So what would be the interaction? What's the tone? What
Mhm.
feelings do we want to evoke? And then from there, start doing puzzles, utilizing the decor that would already be in place in that theme to try to make the puzzles feel a little more
Cohesive.
Organic.
cohesive.
Organic, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good word.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're very much about the aesthetics and about the
Mhm.
atmosphere. For me, it's all about light and sound and music and just the overall atmosphere and the vibe of the room. So that, to me, personally, that's priority. I want to be like, what kind of feeling do we want out of this room that we're building?
Yeah.
And then we can make puzzles on top of that. Design the puzzle flow to fit within that theme. We've talked to other owners that are the exact opposite. They're like, no, puzzles first and foremost. And that's totally fine. Like, everybody's got their different style. And I think that's great, because then you can go and get different varieties of different rooms.
Well, and it's totally interesting how much light and music come into play. Like, there's a podcast I listen to, and they tell kind of scary stories a little bit. And there's a certain part of it has like these creepy sounds, like you hear the walking, you hear the creepy music. I'm like, oh, it freaks me out. And then they have another part of their Patreon, and they put out these stories, no background music at all. And I'm like, that wasn't even scary. Like, the background music that just totally adds to everything.
It really does. I think atmosphere just makes you feel more immersed. To me, that's what escape rooms really are. They used to be, when escape rooms were new and it was first like a thing in this country, I feel like it was just about the puzzles, right? It was, hey, go lock yourself in an office room and here's some brain teasers and just go do some puzzles. You have 60 minutes, go. I feel like escape rooms now are becoming more recognized as like a piece of entertainment, and it's an immersion experience over just can I stump you with puzzles and riddles?
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference in the quality of a room when you've got the immersion level there. And to me, that's what the definition of escape room really is. It's used to be like, oh, I'm going to go in, I just got to escape this room. But now you're escaping reality. You're going into a different world and being immersed in something that's not your normal life.
Yeah. Did you like, Nevermore has a really good flow with it and good puzzles. Like, where does that come from? Did you do a lot of escape rooms before opening? Or is it just like, oh, we just have a certain way? Because it was really good.
Thanks.
And
Thank you.
it was just, I was really impressed with that. Ripper is a whole nother thing, right?
Ripper is its own beast.
So.
Yes.
But we built Ripper first, so we learned a lot from designing Ripper. So when we went to build Nevermore, we took what we learned and what we knew, what would work and what wouldn't, and we kind of altered our design style or our flow to just improve upon it. So hopefully it shows. Ripper's our baby. It was our firstborn,
Right.
And we were like, how are we going to build something that's even going to compare to this? How is it going to? And now we're getting comments. I feel like people are enjoying Nevermore more than Ripper now. Like, Nevermore has surpassed Ripper in quality. It's crazy. I never would have expected that, but it's a good thing.
They're two completely different games, for sure.
They are. You can't compare them, but they're both unique in their own way, and they both work really well, and people enjoy them. It's just, I think from a design standpoint, there are lots of things in Nevermore that we did a lot better than in Ripper, just to improve the flow of the game.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No,
we're
it does.
still making tweaks like you would. We're Nevermore is now 6-7 months old.
Yeah.
We're still making tweaks to be expected, but we're also still making tweaks in Ripper. So we're always trying to improve.
Ripper will be 4 years old this year. And we're still always making improvements and tweaks to it, just finding little things, like, because you don't know how people are going to react to stuff. So when they come in and play, you're like, I never imagined somebody would do that. Okay, let's alter this to make so that doesn't happen, or let's do that more. Let's make sure that happens more. It just depends on what it is.
We've heard that from the escape room owners that have good rooms. It's a never ending, right? You're just always making little tweaks here and there, trying to improve it a little bit more. So that puts you in good company of the rooms and the owners that do that.
That just means we care, right?
Exactly.
Hopefully the passion is there. You can see it. We care about it. This is our thing. We want this to be good, and we want to build games that we would enjoy playing. And
now, without giving away too many spoilers, what is kind of the inspiration or storyline of Ripper then?
So, all right. So obviously we're horror buffs. and we wanted to make a horror game and a scary game. And I don't know, maybe 7 or 8 years old when I was starting to watch the Jason movies and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Streets and Halloween. My grandma would just be like, "Hey, let's go to the video store and be like, rent whatever you want." And I'd be just come back with like the entire series of Freddy and Jason movies, and she
Wow.
didn't care. So, you know, a little 8-year-old watching that stuff. So that's probably where I get the twisted mentality of just like, oh, I like this stuff. So I actually have a bachelor's degree in history. So I always have enjoyed history. Jack the Ripper history in particular has always fascinated me, the real Jack the Ripper murders. So that was a big inspiration of building our game and just calling it Ripper. I took my love of horror movies and created a character like a copycat killer of sorts, somebody who's obsessed with the Jack the Ripper murders. And I took influences from like Leatherface and Jason and Michael Myers and molded them into a Frankenstein monster character of my own, and took elements from each of those. And that was my big inspiration for that. But we have a lot of like historical accuracies and Easter eggs in Ripper that refer to the real Jack the Ripper murders.
Now I don't do scary. I'm a big chicken, but I saw online you guys have this where you could do a PG-13 non-scare or a R-rated scare, an R-rated super scary. I would need the G version of like some Disney princess comes in and takes out the Ripper or something.
I mean, I could put on a little princess crown for you or something, you know, walk around with my chainsaw and have it shoot out rainbows and stuff.
That's right. But does that seem to work well? Do people like that you have the different variations?
The scaling scare levels? Oh yeah.
It definitely, has changed it up. Well, when we first started, it was just the R-rated basic Ripper that was intended as R-rated. Then people kind of were like, "Hey, I'd like to bring my younger kids, but can we do something without the adult material in there?" So we made a PG-13 version. So that just altered the language and the adult content. Then it hit a point where like, we want to do something extra scary. So we kind of took certain elements that we had and separated it out and added, a different soundtrack, made it more intense, fewer hiding spaces, and went with that. But then that turned into a point where we were having whole groups leave mid-game because they were all too scared. So we'd have to turn it into a complete non-scare game. We're like, "Hey, well, do you want to go back and just finish the puzzles without Ripper?" And oh yeah, can we do that? So we hand them their flashlights back that they just gave to us.
And I'm just like, all right, I'm clocking out. See ya.
So that was the introduction of the non-scare.
So we're like, you know what? We should just add that as an option on the site, just if people want to do Ripper without the scares. And I think we've only had maybe like 2 or 3 actual bookings of a non-scare, like people going on the site and booking that directly. I'd say the majority of it is people booking not super scare, and then the game's turning into non-scare, which is kind of
interesting. Fun. Yeah. We played the PG-13 version, which was toned down. It was perfect. Like for us, it was so good. Your hint system, I don't want to give anything away. Your hint system is so good. And I remember just laughing and we were hiding. And we just looked at each other smiling and having a good time. You don't know what to expect with a horror theme, right? We played a couple. We played one in California that we didn't like. The whole thing was very dark. It was very hard to see. And the puzzles were horrible. But it wasn't about the puzzles. It was about hiding. And you guys had just the perfect mix of the puzzles weren't too difficult because you can't really spend all your energy and mind really solving a difficult puzzle because you're always looking around. What's going to happen? So there were the right amount of difficulty. It was great. I couldn't believe we were just like, wow, this is so good. That we did Nevermore, and we're like, wow, this place is awesome. Why don't they have 5 more games?
We're working on it. Yeah, we would love to. It's funny because when we were building Nevermore about the scare thing, we kept going down that rabbit hole. Like we kept designing Nevermore with the intention of like, we need to make kind of a non-scary game. But as we were designing it, it was like, no, this is becoming more and more scary. People are not going to like this. We need to tone it back, like reel it back in and be like, we need to change this. So, I mean, horror and scary stuff is in our blood. That's It's just our default, and we need to branch out from there. But the scare level that you guys did, you did the PG-13 version and the R version are the same level of scare. It's just the adult material that we changed out for those versions. So you guys still got this technically the scary version, but there was that one step up. We have the super scary version, which changes some of the elements of the scare moments. The super scare is a little more aggressive. There's louder music. There's fewer hiding places. There's moments of complete darkness where the lights go out and you got to just kind of hide, in the pure darkness with your flashlights only. So we try to make it as intense as possible. So you guys did like that perfect blend of both worlds. You got you got the scares that made you giggle and laugh, and you got the atmosphere of doing the puzzles and not worrying about like, is it going to be too intense?
Honestly, it's your hint system that just really, it ties it all together in such a neat way.
Cool.
Whatever however you came up with that, brilliant. Yeah. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no,
you
for
for
sure.
a good game.
The idea when we were building Ripper was we want to have a live actor in the game.
Right.
And we've played games before with live actors, and they always kind of fell a little flat because the character would either break character too much, or they just kind of felt like they weren't needed. Like they just felt like they just didn't fit. Whereas we try to really make our characters in our games like feel like they're part of the environment and part of the world. They fit there. They need to be there to make the game what it is.
And they help move the story along.
Yes. And then Nevermore being your second game, there's a lot of personal touches in there. Like there's family pictures and that type of thing. How did that come about?
Nevermore is kind of came full circle, because I feel like it represents in whole like kind of how Nocturne's aim and focus were. But as far as puzzles and Nevermore, everything we really tried to custom design really fit the theme. The photos were those specifically were an open invite. We invited enthusiasts, hey, send us some Victorian vintage photos of you or family, and we have some in there, and then some of our family, because we're like, hey, let's just throw it out there.
Right. There's even a picture of you and your sister as like little kids, like little girls in your Victorian outfits that we threw in there. I mean, people wouldn't know that, but it's there. It's for us.
Right. Yeah, I love that. It's so cool. It's almost like the whole Disney thing where, in the President's Hall, they have the stitching that they did way back then. And nobody knows that except people who work there, but it gives authenticity to it. And there's little Easter eggs. And then when people do find out about it, they're like, that's so cool.
Makes it even more special.
It does.
I mean, Nevermore was like the whole inspiration for the game was really, kind of how we came up with our whole business name. Nocturne Adventures we thought of that when we still lived in California. This was back in 2017.
Oh, wow.
And we were like, oh, we want to do escape rooms. We need to come up with a name. And at the time, I was listening to a lot of classical music, a lot of Frédéric Chopin, and he writes a lot of nocturne pieces that I really, piano pieces that I really love. And I'm like, that's just a cool word, nocturne. I'm like, let's roll with that. And obviously, us being, kind of gothy people, if you will, the whole Edgar Allan Poe, the Raven, all that stuff. So I was like, let's use a raven as our logo, behind the moon. It's kind of cliche, but it's still cool. It's a cool image. And we just rolled with that as our idea. And I'm like, why don't we have a Poe themed room? That just makes total sense. It just feels like there should be one. But we weren't really focused on that until after we had built Ripper, and we need another second game. And we were going through ideas like crazy. There's like all kinds of different themes, from like 80s themes to film noir, like detective offices, all kinds of weird stuff, Sin City stuff.
But everything was going way too far down the scary rabbit hole. We're like, we need to build something that's not billed as an intense, scary game. We need something for the rest of the general public.
But you're never going to have a unicorn and pixie room?
We could.
Cupcakes and rainbows.
But we make a twist on it.
There would be a twist somewhere, I'm sure.
It'd be like cupcakes and rainbows, but then it'd be like, the unicorn would come out and be like
some Charlie the unicorn.
Right. Let's go to Candy Mountain, Charlie.
Yeah, let's steal your keys, Charlie.
Perfect. I
Yeah.
love it.
We could probably build a really awesome, cute game, but it's definitely not our main
But
focus.
see, I feel like if we did, we would throw in a lot of jokes that like adults would get. You know, like you see Pixar movies, and it's like, oh
Right.
yeah, that joke's going way over kids' heads. You know.
So have you all filled the house pretty much, or do you have room for more rooms?
We're at max capacity
Yeah.
unless we give up our parking spaces.
Yeah, our garage area where we have our cars parked, like we could convert that into another space. We're still debating that.
That would
But-
have to get HVAC'd, which it's not.
Yeah, that one would take
that
a
would-
while to build up, but we have to come up with another good theme first.
Yeah.
So then are you
Yeah.
thinking maybe commercial property or?
We're always talking about that.
Yeah, if the situation came up and the financials were right, then it would certainly be something we'd jump on. I think we're still evaluating now with Nevermore having a scary and a non-scary game. We can determine the clientele base.
I mean, let's be real here. Like Hickory is not exactly a touristy town. Like,
Right.
and also that the fact that we're in a residential, we're in our house, it's people have to go out of their way to come to us. So that's why referrals and word of mouth and reviews and Morty and all that stuff is super important for us. It's to get people over that initial fear of that expectation. Like you said, oh, I'm going to a house. This is weird. We still get that a lot. People are
Sure.
always like, I was a little skeptical at first, and then, oh, wow, this is really neat. So it's, our stuff is good. I know it's like when you get here, you'll feel better, but it's getting people to just take that initial leap.
Well, it's got to be the word of mouth has to be your best market.
And it
Absolutely.
is. Yeah. I mean, we've been around for what, 4 years now?
Coming up on 4
Coming
years.
up on 4 years, and people are starting to notice our brand and our logo and our design. Like, you know, she's got stickers all over her car, and when you drive around, people are like, oh yeah, I've seen that car around town a lot before. Hey,
Yeah.
cool. All right.
Love it.
So,
Yep.
but yeah, it's just really just a hurdle of just finances at this point.
And you're
and
not
finding
sitting
the right
on
place.
a mountain of gold running one game at a time only on the weekends?
No, yeah, I wish. That's actually, yeah, one of our biggest hurdles
Right.
really is we can't run both games at the same time. A, because they occupy the same space. Well, I mean, they're separated games, but they're, you know, there's a single wall dividing the two rooms. And with how immersive and with the amount of sound effects and everything that go on in Ripper, you know how loud that game is.
Right.
It would be weird playing Nevermore and being all somber and spooky and then hearing the chainsaw going on, you know, from behind the wall. It just wouldn't work. It would ruin the immersion. Yeah.
Screaming,
Right.
cursing, everything. People running through drywall.
Yeah.
So funny.
So
If I remember right, you have like a little tick system of all the people that get out. And there's a couple that are different colors.
Yes. On the Ripper door, we have tick marks indicating all the people who left Ripper who
'Cause they
were
were
too
too scared.
More people have left, but we could coax them back in one way or another. We didn't count them.
yeah, people will come out in the middle of the game and they're just shaking and freaking out. And I'm usually waiting out in the lobby in my costume because I'm like waiting for my turn to go back in. So when they come out and they see me and they get more scared, I'm like, no, I have to. The lobby is the safe space. I'll break character and I'll be like, no, it's okay. You're okay. I'm not going to hurt you. And you know, they take a moment to take a little break and they catch their breath and they're like, okay, all right, I'm going to go back in. Those people are cool because we can get back in. It's the tick marks are for the people who come out and they're like, nope, I'm done, too scared, I can't do it, and they just sit on the bench the rest of the game.
Really? And like nothing you say will get them back in.
Nothing.
No, nothing. They're done.
Even after they meet
done.
me, I'll take my mask off and be like,
Right.
hey, are you okay? And get you some water. You're cool. Like,
I'm
and
a real
still, no.
person.
Yeah, I'm a real person. I'm not going to hurt you. I promise. And they're just like, no, I'm done. I can't.
Wow.
Yeah, but all those tick marks we do in perma blood, except there's one special one that is in yellow because she did pee her pants in the game through her jeans and everything. It was during a scare sequence. She was crawling. She wasn't even walking, peeing through her jeans, crawling on her friends, left us a little puddle, and she left the game and went to go just stay in the car.
But she was cool about
she
it. Like
was
she
so
was laughing
cool.
about it. She was just like, I just saw it. She went to the bathroom before the game too. So
Yes.
her tank should have been empty, but she still managed to pee herself. I don't get it.
That is amazing.
So it was a little bit of cleanup for us, but you know what? It's a badge of honor. That just means we did our
Right?
job well, right?
Most escape room owners would be disgusted. We're patting our backs. I think it's the haunt background. We're
Yeah.
like, yeah, good job. Good job.
Right, right. I mean, the Ripper has like very little, if any, tech.
Right.
Correct?
No, it's all just aesthetics. It's light and sound effects and
sound
light
effects, yeah.
changes, and everything's all pretty mechanical. We control everything from the GM room with any of the quote tech that we have. It's simple mag locks and stuff
Right.
that we can just turn on and off, and that's really all we do from a simple switch. There's no Arduinos, there's no computers, there's no
In either game.
Yeah, Nevermore doesn't have it either. Everything in Nevermore is manually triggered. There's a ton more what you would consider tech in Nevermore
Via maglocks.
via maglocks
Via
and other
maglocks.
triggers and things.
And Nicole, that's just you doing everything, right? You're always the one. Yeah.
Yep. One
You're the
hand
puppet
on the
master.
mouse. Yes, for the sound. Triggering sounds, killing maglocks, making sure timing's right.
She's
when things are done right.
Wizard of Oz, man behind the curtain.
Right.
Yes.
Pay no
Right.
attention.
Absolutely.
So you definitely have to be paying attention. You can't just go to the restroom.
Yeah, that game needs 100% attention. Absolutely. Always switching cameras to see what people are doing in different rooms, different areas. I mean, since the game flow does convert linear, then non-linear,
Mhm.
and kind of goes back and forth, there's a lot of double checking on
Right.
cameras and seeing what everybody's doing, if they're getting it, if they're not, if they're going down the wrong rabbit hole, if they're ready to trigger things.
At this point, though, it's all muscle memory for you. You've got it down so good that you could do it in your sleep. And that's the scary part, is if, like, say we wanted to hire people, how are we going to train somebody to run this game like we do? I mean, it could be done, but it would just be very difficult. And then we'd stand back. It's like, taking the training wheels off. All right, let's let them do it. I'm nervous. Yeah. We design the games specifically for us because our thought process, the way we do things, and we know that we're going to be the ones running it. So we set things up that makes it easy and efficient for us.
Gotcha. Nicole, do you ever change spots with Tom?
Nope.
No.
We've joked about that, but no, I think we all have our
specialty,
our specialties, right, our high points, and so we just kind of stick to that, and then we modify it too. He'll come to me with, hey, I was thinking about changing this interaction, and I'm thinking about changing the order of triggering for this point in the game.
Hey, I was thinking about wearing a Mickey Mouse outfit.
Ripper, I'll be wearing bunny ears for Easter or something.
Right. So you build everything out, like the walls and everything? You don't hire out to do any of the construction?
We did have someone come in to do all the framework.
Okay.
So, and of course, moving electrical outlets and things. I don't touch any of that. So
I'm not an electrician. I'm not going to be doing any of that. We had somebody build our bathroom, the plumbing. I mean, that kind of stuff you hire out.
Right.
But as far as the games themselves, we designed everything. We built the layout. We just had somebody come in and help us put the. Sorry,
that's okay.
Going crazy.
Yeah, we've gotten so many friends from people who play Ripper. It's crazy. And then one of those friends, a wonderful couple, Bonnie and Ronnie. Ronnie, he woodworks at his full time, and he had actually offered, hey, if you need help in building your next game, let me know. And so he actually did the framework for Nevermore. And it was cool because, he wanted to be surprised with Nevermore, but he knows the layout. He kept it a secret from his wife. And he's like, I told Bonnie I'm not telling her anything. So he knew where things were at. And then when they came back to play, I mean, the last thing he saw, it was all framework.
It was just the skeleton.
It was just the skeleton, the bare bones.
The drywall wasn't even up.
So when he came back and it was just finished, it's like, oh my God.
It blew his mind.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He knew what we wanted to do, but not till it was done. He was like, oh my God, I forgot I built that little alcove that was going to be there or that little area. So it was a lot of fun for them to come play it and check it out. And in fact, even in Ripper, in areas where there's names, they're all names of friends or people who have helped us either get into the escape room industry or people helped us build the escape room. So all names are people that are significant
That's
to us
awesome. I love that.
personally.
I love that. You built the Raven, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the animatronic.
Yeah. Was that from
It's on your TikTok
Mr.
that's
Mr.
showing how to do
Chicken's
it.
prop shop?
Mr. Chicken Prop Shop. Yep, the Raven kit. I bought that actually. It was was doing pre-orders. I think it was 2017, 2018, and I just thought they were so cool and they were so inexpensive. I bought two kits. And he even mentioned me. He's like, "Did you mean to buy two?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I want two."
We have spare parts now, yeah.
So
Right?
we hung on to them for years, and not till we were building Nevermore. Like, I now have a purpose for this this
Nice.
Raven prop.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
I did a great job.
You had to put it all together, all the servos and do the programming and all that. But
That's
we were
awesome.
originally going to just use one of those, I think, for our lobby because it's like Nocturne with the Raven logo. He'd be a cool lobby prop to have him greet people when they come
For
in
sure.
and move. And then when we decided to do the Nevermore theme, we're like, oh well, yeah, duh, he's going in the game
He's
instead.
going in the game. Yep. Yeah, we love him.
So what would you say with your experience? What skill set would you say is the most important for an escape room owner?
I'd say probably just set design and puzzle design.
Yeah.
I feel like, all your typical business related stuff like customer service and financing, and I figured any business is going to need to know that kind of stuff. I mean, specific to escape rooms though, I feel like you got to have a keen eye for design, and I think for aesthetics, set design, puzzle design. Nicole and I work really well together because we each have our own strengths. She's really good at coming up with the puzzle designs and doing the intricate the details of each puzzle, and I'm more of the overall what's the vibe of the theme going to be, the aesthetic design, what kind of music do I want to play at this point in the game, or what lighting changes are going to happen here to trigger those emotions. Cool. So we come together, we work really well because we can bounce off each other with ideas. And
do you argue? Do you ever argue no, I don't want that in there, and the other one's like, we have to have this in there?
We tease each other. We've been together for over 10 years now, and we've never had a fight.
Yeah.
I had one friend was like, "Do you ever fight with your wife?" And I'm like, "No, you know what? We've never had a fight." And he's like, "That's so weird." I'm like, "I guess that just means we like each other."
Yeah.
So,
it's because you got a chainsaw. That's what.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. So in terms of what you asked with puzzle design, she built this prototype breakfast, Pee-wee's Playhouse breakfast machine.
We nicknamed it the breakfast machine.
And she had all these ramps and holes and funnels and
pinball balls,
all kinds of weird stuff.
It was going to do all kinds of crazy stuff. It was going to be for Nevermore. And then it just got so out there. It was way beyond out of theme and uber mechanical though. I was loving it. It was like a giant version of the game Mousetrap. It felt like that.
Right. The idea was you find a little pinball and you put it down this hole and it does this whole Mousetrap thing. And she spent so much time on that and I wasn't feeling it. We were testing it and I'm just, this isn't working. I don't like this. And she's like, "But I'm like, I feel bad, but I don't want to use this." And she finally came around and was like, "Okay, you're right. Yeah, this is not going to fit the game." So we ended up nixing it. But
you still have it?
No, it's in pieces.
Yeah, I think we took it apart because it was huge and
it was big. Okay. Yeah. It would have been awkward. It was weird.
But when you design Nevermore, how much from the initial design of it made it? Did most of it make it to the final product?
I'd say, yeah.
I'd say, 95% of it made it to the final product. There was one or two puzzles that were not our initial plans. The initial ones didn't quite work out, but the secondary ones, which the ones are used, ended up being better. Yeah. Much better.
Yeah. And I'd say for any other would-be escape room owners, I'd say the biggest thing is you just always keep an open mind. You can plan something out on paper down to the last little detail. And when you go to actually build it, things are going to change. You have to be willing to accept that. And I know that's difficult for Nicole because she's everything has to be planned out on paper and it has to be exactly like this. And I'm like, no, let's just wing it. Let's do it and see how it feels. And
that's why you guys work so well together. You're
a good compromise.
Yin and yang,
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, you would like Nevermore.
So I was looking on their TikTok. They got a lot of cool. First of all, the rats are adorable. I want the little Dumbo rat.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are our boys.
But you guys got a lot of good stuff on your TikTok too, just to kind of share with people, like planning ahead. I mean, you even went through and did the whole, here's the house and here's what the lobby looks like, a little tour and everything. So it's very helpful to kind of see. I think I would enjoy Nevermore. I think it'd be up my Ripper. No, absolutely not. You would get another little yellow slash mark. Maybe a brown one. You might get a brown one.
Well, you have to remember, right? People get they work themselves up. People psych themselves out. It's crazy. Like they get so nervous when they go into Ripper. And you have to remember, it's just a game. And the whole point is to have fun. We're not in there to torture anybody or to make them have mental breakdowns. Like Curt, when you and Tina played, you guys were the perfect guests because it was just like you guys were laughing and giggling. And
yeah, we were still on edge, but that's the
still
fun
running
of it.
and hiding.
And running and hiding and playing along. Like that's the kind of reaction we really want from that. And
I mean, what do they say? The anticipation of death is worse than death itself, right?
Yes.
So
Exactly.
yeah, you get in your own head about your expectations of it, and it turns out to be a great time. So we're going to jump into our speed round. You ready for this?
Okay.
So
We'll do
our
our
speed
best.
round, here's how it works. Chris is going to ask you a question. Each of you will get to answer each question. You can only use one sentence. We may allow 2 sentences, but try to keep it to 1 sentence answers. All right. No expanding on it.
Okay.
All right. Ready, Chris?
All right, Nicole, we'll start with you, ladies first, and Tom, you'll answer kind of right after her. So,
Sure.
Favorite horror film?
Saw the first one.
Okay.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, duh.
That's
Like that makes
right.
sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right, Tom, we'll start you off on this one. What is the
Okay.
best thing about owning an escape room business?
Meeting new people and converting first-time escape room players into enthusiasts.
That's a good one.
I'd say seeing people's reactions to the things we've had planned out on paper that are now 360 around them is just super cool.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, Nicole, you can go first this time. What is the worst thing about owning an escape room business?
Wondering if we're going to meet the expectations of the player.
Tom?
It's exhausting and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, Tom, what is one of your favorite escape rooms that you've played?
It is a game in California that is no longer in business. It was called the Cromwell Estate.
Let's look that up.
Nicole?
And my answer is the same.
Yeah.
Really?
Cromwell Estate, that was in Anaheim.
I know one sentence, but I want to give a little backstory to that one, if that's okay. So the Cromwell Estate.
It was not our first escape room.
Okay, so yeah, let's start from the beginning. The very first escape room we ever played was absolute garbage. It was
Horrible.
We hated it. And we were like, this is what escape room. Our friend was like, no, I promise. Let's go do another one. I promise they're not like this. And then we went and played a second game. And we were like, okay, I get it. This is cool. Then we played our third game, which was that Cromwell Estate place. And it had just the right mix and blend of like haunt vibes and puzzles. And we were like, that was the spark for us that just kicked in and be like, we love haunt stuff. We've been doing haunts for how long? We could do this escape room thing. That was like the catalyst for us to even get the idea of doing an escape room. So it was our third escape room we ever played that basically made us fall in love with it and want to get into this business.
Would you have stopped right there if he hadn't urged you to do another one?
Probably. Yeah.
Wow.
Probably.
Yeah.
So thank you. What's his name?
Eric.
Eric, thank you. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be here right now.
That's right. Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah, we probably would have just stopped. We would have been like, okay, that was a thing. All right, whatever, I'm done. So, but then that just goes to prove that like first impressions mean a lot. So
Yeah,
we try to
absolutely.
design our games to be at that. When people come in, we want them to have such a good time to be like, dang, that was awesome. I'm going to go play more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Back on.
All right,
speed
sorry.
round.
Okay, I think Nicole, you're up first this time. What is one thing you wish you would have known before starting your business?
I guess the uncertainty of business and how much location means everything.
Mm.
If there was one thing I knew beforehand before starting an escape room would be it's not very lucrative in a traditional sense. Our passion is there, but the reward is more about feeling good and making good things. But the money's not quite there.
No.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
We've heard that's good too, because we've definitely heard that people love it.
Yeah.
That's why you do it, because you love it.
Yeah.
So it's awesome.
It's not about the money, but still you kind of need the money to keep it going. So, it's that
Exactly.
balance.
It's still a business. At the end of the day, it's still a business. And
Right.
unfortunately, the setup, I think if you had the space to have 4 rooms and you hired a couple people, you'd be fine. It's just the way you're set up, it makes it very difficult.
It
Yet
works for
that's
us.
that's also the charm of Nocturne,
Yeah.
Yeah.
We would love to be able to run this stuff full time. I mean, I would love to not have to work a job during the week. If we had the touristy stuff and the people coming and calling every day, all day, we'd be running it all the time. Yeah, sure, we'd be fine.
Right,
But,
right.
Right.
I
We
hear you.
can keep working up to that. So
Exactly.
All right, Tom,
Yeah.
you're first this time again. What is one piece of reference material or source of information you would recommend? Something you'd recommend to those just starting in the business who want to open an escape room.
I would say simply firsthand experience. Just go and play escape rooms
Mm-hmm.
and see what they're about. Yeah.
Nicole?
Yeah, I'm absolutely ditto on that. And just play a lot of games. Although we've played, it's less than 50. A lot to some, nothing to others, but it definitely broadened our horizons. I feel like we've got a good mix of different types of games. So just play lots of games.
All right, last question. Nicole, we'll start with you. What is one piece of advice you would give to new escape room owners?
Be flexible in all aspects of the business.
I absolutely agree. Just be open-minded and be willing to accept change.
Cool. What does the future hold for Nocturne?
That's a great question.
It's scary. Like we don't really know. We keep doing what we're doing and it's going fine and we're loving it. And in terms of just running the business, it's kind of one of those, let's give it a few more years and just see where we land. Their passion's still here. We still love it. We want to keep building and expanding.
We have big ideas.
We have big ideas. It's just the finances. It's getting that opportunity to get into that and expand upon it. So
we're just waiting to hit all the lottery numbers.
Yeah.
And
you and me both.
Yeah.
Although we got to play to win, I guess that's the problem with us.
True.
It does make it difficult some weeks, yes.
It does.
To put a more positive spin on that question, we have lots of great ideas in store and we're working on ways to make those cool things come true.
Yeah. Well, thank you both for taking the time to talk to us.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you so much. This is awesome. Chris, we'll have to have you come by Nocturne sometime.
Definitely.
Yeah. Just hit us up.
I want to see it. It looks cool. So awesome.
If you have some problematic children at the camp, just send them to Ripper.
That's right.
I'll set them straight.
No problem.
He's got his own problematic children, so
right.
he'll bring them down. So if people want to reach out to you, follow what you do, what's the best way?
Best way, of course, is social media and or Instagram, but Facebook, just look up Nocturne Adventures Escape Games.
Perfect.
And we're always on there. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Morty, every little bit of everything. You can find us anywhere.
That's how we found you, Morty.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah, we love Morty.
Yeah. Nicole's the social media manager, so she handles all that stuff. So whenever you send a message to Nocturne, you're pretty much guaranteed to always talk to Nicole.
Which is not always the case. You send a message to whatever on the website, to whatever email. And I'm like, is this going to go to a game master? Is this going to go to the owner? Yeah. Who is this going to? Yeah. With you, I know it's going to be to you.
It comes to the owners directly. Yep.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, both of you, thank you so much. This has been awesome. Just
thank you guys.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Our pleasure.
All right. Well, this has been Curt and Chris. Thanks for joining us on another scrumptious episode of Mystery Soup. Until our next culinary concoction, may your clues be clear and your escapes be triumphant. Keep puzzling, my friends.
See ya.
Mystery Soup. Mystery Soup. Mystery Soup.